Amina sat hunched over her old laptop, the dull hum of the fan nearly matching the rhythm of her constant clicks. The job portals had all blurred together different logos, same listings. Her eyes were tired, her spirit more so. She had been unemployed for 6 months now, and every day had begun to feel the same. Wake up, scroll through job boards, apply to anything that didn't look immediately fraudulent. That last part was the hardest. At first, Amina had been selective. She filtered by industry, read company reviews, even researched interview processes. But as the rejections piled up or worse, as she was met with complete silence, her standards slipped. By the 3rd month, she was applying to anything that offered a paycheck. By the 5th month, she no longer read the job descriptions. She clicked, apply the way someone might throw stones into a black well, listening for even the faintest echo in return. So when an email arrived with the subject line, "You're hired, no interview needed," she opened it without hesitation. Congratulations, Amina. Based on your outstanding resume, you've been selected for a high-paying opportunity with Fast Tracks Global. Join one of the fastest-growing performance companies in the country. No experience required. No interview necessary. Report to our downtown location at 9:00 a.m. sharp this Friday. No title, no salary breakdown, no company website. Just a location, a time, and a promise. Something about it felt too convenient, too vague, but Amina's rent was due in 9 days, and her food budget had been reduced to instant noodles and tap water. Hope can make anyone ignore the red flags. She didn't tell anyone. Not her cousin who had warned her about sketchy jobs. Not her friend who had already loaned her money once. She just ironed her only decent blouse, packed a notebook and her resume, and rehearsed a smile in the mirror. Friday morning, she found the building. Or at least, what the email claimed was the building. It was gray, 3 stories tall, and smelled faintly of bleach and mildew. The front door had no signage, just a faded buzzer. When she pressed it, there was no answer. She was about to turn around when the door opened suddenly, and a young man in sneakers and a dress shirt waved her in. "You made it." "Right on time," he said, ushering her up a narrow staircase. They entered a cramped room with mismatched chairs and peeling posters on the walls. Motivational phrases were everywhere. Think big, live fast. No pain, no commission. Quitters don't drive Lambos. About a dozen others were already seated. Some looked as unsure as she felt. Amina offered a polite smile to the woman beside her, who whispered, "Do you know what this is? I thought it was a sales job." Before she could reply, the young man clapped his hands and stood in front of a whiteboard. "Welcome to Fast Tracks Global, the future of field marketing. Here, we don't waste time with interviews and HR nonsense. We believe in action. You're already hired. Starting today, you'll be brand ambassadors for one of the hottest new products on the market, Bolt Energy." He pulled out a 4-pack of brightly colored cans. "We go where the customers area on the streets, in small businesses, door to door. You hustle, you sell, you earn. It's all commission-based, so your income depends on you. There's no ceiling." Amina blinked. "Commission only?" He nodded. "That's right, but we've had people make 500 in a day. All it takes is drive. And if you're really serious, bring in new recruits, and you earn off their sales too." Another man in the back of the room raised his hand. "So there's no salary?" The trainer grinned. "Only suckers need safety nets. You're not here for a paycheck. You're here for a future." Amina felt her throat tighten, but she didn't move. She watched as teams were formed, and her name was called alongside a tall, jittery guy named Jared, who wore a Bluetooth headset and bragged about being a top performer. Before she could ask more questions, she was in his dusty car, heading out of the city. They arrived in the strip mall parking lot, where Jared handed her a bag of drinks, some laminated flyers, and a script. "You'll get the hang of it," he said. "Don't overthink. Just smile and push the benefits, and don't let them say no." They canvassed for hours. Amina knocked on small businesses, hair salons, gas stations, and even tried to approach people walking dogs. Every rejection stung. "We don't buy from solicitors. Not interested." "You're the 5th one this week." She managed to sell 1 pack to a kind woman running a convenience store who seemed to pity her more than anything. By 4 p.m., her legs ached, her voice was hoarse, and her stomach rumbled. She had eaten a granola bar at noon and nothing since. "How do we get paid?" she asked Jared. "Well, that pack was $10. You get 25%, so that's like 2.5. But once you sell in volume, it adds up." She stared at him. 2.5? For all day? He laughed. "That's just the beginning. Everyone starts slow. Look, I made almost 1,000 last week." But something in his eyes looked tired. Worn. Not someone who was winning, someone who had learned to fake it until they could forget the truth. They didn't return to the office. Jared dropped her off at a train station. She paid $3.75 for a ride back into the city, more than she'd earned that day. She walked the final few blocks to her apartment, feet blistered, lips dry, pride shattered. That night, she lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling. Her phone buzzed. A message from the Fast Tracks team lead. "Great hustle today, Amina. Bring a friend tomorrow and double your earnings." She didn't reply. The next morning, she opened her laptop again. Closed every job board tab that didn't include company websites, actual reviews, or clear job descriptions. She opened a new tab for the local nonprofit she'd once admired and she hadn't applied to before, because the pay wasn't fast. They were hiring an admin assistant. The pay was modest, but the listing was detailed, professional, and human. She applied. A week later, she was called for an interview. 2 weeks after that, she had a desk, an ID badge, and a direct deposit slip. She never clicked apply anywhere again. Amina had learned the hard way. Desperation makes you easy to exploit. Not every opportunity is a job. Some are traps with titles. A paycheck earned with dignity is worth more than $1,000 dangled behind empty promises. She learned to ask questions, to choose wisely. Because time, energy, and self-worth are not things you can afford to waste.